Hi, sweet soul, and welcome. This story is called A Tart Kind of Grace. It's a gentle tale about what happens when we stop defending our feelings and start questioning them instead. It explores how easily we can get offended when we feel unseen or unheard, and how much lighter life becomes when we pause, shift our perspective, and act from kindness instead of reaction. It's fiction, sort of. Like many of my stories, it's wrapped in a bit of truth, a bit of humor, and a quiet invitation to reflect on the ripple we create. So get comfy. Let's settle in for a few moments of something real. Chapter 1, Rachel's Chair. The folding chairs were lined up just as they always were, 3 on each side, a semicircle around the salt lamp, and the old wooden bowl they called the healing dish. Samantha had arrived early, as she often did, to light a stick of cedar and to prepare the room. There was always the core group: Noah, Dave, Caroline, Rachel, and Penny, and each had their preferred chairs, not by label or assignment, but by their unspoken rhythm. Although occasionally other people joined, but this was the core group. They gathered every Tuesday in this small rented space, surrounded by a soft light, warm tea, and the collective willingness to pause. It wasn't a therapy group, nor it was a cultish good vibes only circle. They shared life, laughter, quiet reflection, and the occasional hard truth that no one enjoyed hearing, yet often needed. Rachel arrived third, her purse tightly clenched under one arm, her brow already furrowed. She sat down with a loud sigh, loud enough to pull Penny's gaze from her tea. "I'm done with him," Rachel said without greeting. "My neighbor, he screamed again this morning, yelled through the fence to shut up my damn dog." His exact words. There was a collective inhale, followed by a silence of people bracing themselves. Samantha simply nodded. "Sounds like it rattled you." "Of course it rattled me. I mean, who talks like that? It's like verbal assault." Rachel scanned the group. "What should I do?" Dave, who rarely sugar-coated anything, lead in. "Well, is the dog barking a lot?" Rachel blinked. "She barks when people walk by. That's normal." "Could be normal," Dave said, "but it's still annoying. Maybe try a bark color, one of those citronella things. Or we can put your neighbor in the healing bowl. That can't hurt." And there it was, the shift. Rachel's eyes narrowed. "I'm not putting a shock collar on my dog. That's barbaric." Dave shrugged. "Didn't say anything about a shock collar. I said citronella." Rachel was already winding up. "I knew someone would say something like that. Punish the dog instead of the man. I can't believe—" Samantha raised a gentle hand. "Maybe we pause here, just take a breath." Caroline passed her a tea. Penny softened her expression. And Noah, quiet as always, simply closed his eyes, letting the tension pass over him like weather. Later, the room had settled into different topics, and they had moved on. Rachel settled into the group in the normal dynamics. Penny reached into her worn tote bag and pulled out a book with a soft blue cover. It was her turn to lead. She said, "It's my turn to bring a reading before we go into our meditation," she said. "This week, this really helped me. I felt poked by something someone said, and this helped." She opened to a marked page. "Being offended is a choice, not a virtue. It's a feeling based on the story we tell ourselves about what someone said or did, and then we cling to it, and then we suffer twice." Rachel shifted in her seat. Penny continued, calm and even. "If we're offended by those who are easily offended, then we become part of the same loop. Offense feeding offense, blame feeding blame." The room was quiet. Noah broke the silence. "It's like arguing with someone who's intent on drowning. No one wins." Caroline gave a small laugh. "You just both end up wet." Samantha watched Rachel closely, not to provoke, but to notice. Her eyes were distant, unreadable, somewhere between defense and discomfort, maybe even a little bit of self-recognition. The evening closed as it always did, with 40 minutes of silent meditation, names whispered into the healing bowl, and chairs folded back into the corner. Rachel lingered near the tea station, stirring honey into her cup like it owed her something. As she left, she didn't say much, and Samantha noticed that she left the door a little bit more gently than usual. Chapter 2, Early Arrival. Rachel showed up 10 minutes early, which is unusual. Samantha was still adjusting the lamp brightness and filling the water kettle when she heard the door open, followed by the quick, decisive tap of Rachel's boots. "I just want to talk before everyone gets here," Rachel began, not even bothering with a hello. Samantha turned with a warm smile. Sure, tea. Rachel waved her off. No, I just need to say this. I felt really offended last week. The whole thing with the neighbor and the dog, it felt like I was being singled out, like I was the one causing all the problems. And I'm not the only one who thought that. Others noticed too. Samantha raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Rachel kept going. I mean, Bart colors, seriously, and then Penny reading that passage about people being offended right after I spoke. I felt completely centered out. I know I'm sensitive, but that was a bit much. Samantha nodded gently, placing a mug on the table beside her. That sounds like it really stayed with you. Of course it did. May I ask, what story did you tell yourself about what happened? Rachel blinked. What do you mean? Just that. What meaning did you make of the moment? What did you assume everyone was thinking or feeling? Rachel crossed her arms. That I was being dramatic, that I should just train my dog to just ignore the yelling from the neighbor. That I was wrong to be upset. Did anyone say those exact words to you? No, not directly. Samantha stepped closer, her tone still soft. Rachel, this isn't a curated experience. It's not my group. I simply open the door and light the candle. We all take turns. We all contribute. What somebody brings, they bring. I don't edit or approve readings. Rachel opened her mouth to argue, but Samantha continued. I also don't punish or reprimand anyone. That's not what we do here. What we do is reflect, grow, and allow for differences without turning discomfort into accusations. Rachel's face shifted, softened slightly. Maybe a little less defensive. I thought maybe they could be more careful. Or, Samantha offered gently, maybe when it's your turn to lead next week, you could bring something that speaks to you where you're at. Help us understand your perspective, not through venting, but through insight. That's where the real power lives. Rachel looked at the candle flickering on the table. I don't know what I'd share. I have a feeling that you will by then, Rachel said. You're here early today. That tells me you're ready for something. Rachel didn't reply. Not with words, but she sat down early, still a bit stiff, and sipped the tea Samantha had poured for her after all. Chapter 3, Rachel's turn. The chairs were set in their usual semicircle, but tonight they extended into a wider arc. 3 extra seats had been added, new faces. Samantha greeted the guests warmly, Josh, Sierra, and Nyla, each arriving with curiosity, travel mugs, and the tentative politeness of first-timers. Rachel, for once, was early and composed. Her journal was open on her lap. She had something prepared, and it showed. Once everyone settled in, Samantha gave her soft nod. Rachel, the floor is yours tonight. Rachel took a breath, not nervous, not entirely at ease either. The soft tension hummed under her voice as she began. I came across this quote this week that stayed with me. It's from Dr. Wayne Dyer. He said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. She paused to let it land. This group, she continued, isn't about pretending life is always gentle. It's about practicing kindness and clarity when life isn't. Compassion even when we're tempted to judge. Doing the right thing even when it's uncomfortable. A few heads nodded. Maybe, she added, her voice quieter, even compassion for small dogs barking who are just doing what dogs do. There was some light chuckles. The regulars understood. Even Samantha smiled. Then Josh spoke up, one of the newcomers. He was calm, thoughtful, and not combative, just a voice among voices. I think compassion is important, he said, yet I also think it has limits when peace is constantly disrupted. My father lives next to a woman who leaves her dog outside to bark for all hours. He's 78, loves gardening. Every time he steps outside, the dog starts, over and over. For years now, it's taken a toll. He shrugged, just another angle. I appreciate what you said about compassion. I guess I'm just wondering if it has boundaries. The room went still for a beat, not tense, just aware. Rachel's mouth opened slightly. She looked at Samantha, then back to Josh. That's fair, she said. I didn't mean compassion means tolerating everything. Maybe it just means starting from understanding, even if it leads to setting boundaries. Or citronella collars. Everyone laughed, including Rachel. Josh smiled. I like that, start from understanding. Rachel sat back, slightly flushed, but not defensive. She had shared her truth, received another, and stayed open. A quiet growth had occurred. Not dramatic, not preachy, just a small shift. Samantha closed the circle that night with her usual phrase, "Leave here lighter than you came, if only by a single thought." Chapter 4. Butter Tarts and Boundaries. The idea came to Rachel the next morning after sitting in her own quiet meditation. It wasn't a grand idea, it was more like a gentle nudge, a whisper of doing better that didn't come with shame or just clarity. She replayed Josh's story more than once in her head, the father, the garden, the barking. It wasn't her dog in his yard, but it was close enough to matter, close enough to soften something in her that still until now had been clenching out of principle. So she made tarts, from scratch, golden crusts, flaky just right, the filling rich with brown sugar, vanilla, and love, the kind of recipe her mother used to make when apologies were needed but no one knew how to say the words. Rachel placed 6 in a small bakery box and wrote a simple note. "Sorry we've bothered you with our barking. We're working on it. Please accept these as a token of apology from both myself and Trixie. Your neighbor, Rachel." She didn't overthink it, didn't expect anything. She walked next door after dinner, placed the box on the porch, and rang the bell. No answer. She left it there anyway, gave Trixie an extra biscuit, and settled in with tea. The next morning there was a folded note under the doormat. "Thank you, Rachel. Tarts were excellent. The quiet this morning was too. Appreciate the gesture. G. Wilson." No hearts, no exclamation marks. Just human to human. Rachel sat down on her front steps, the note in her hand and the sun on her face. Trixie trotted over and plopped down beside her, tail thumping. Rachel whispered, "We're growing, girl." Trixie barked once, just once. Rachel laughed. "Easy," she said. "Let's not ruin our reputation already." Well, thank you for listening. If you've ever felt misunderstood or found yourself tangled in a moment where offense felt justified, but peace felt better, then this story was for you. A Tart Kind of Grace reminds us that we don't need to agree with everyone, yet we can still choose compassion. Sometimes the smallest gesture, like a box of homemade tarts or a softened tone, can open more hearts than any argument will. If this story touched something in you, I'd love it if you would share, like, or leave a comment. And if you're someone who finds comfort in stories like this with a bit of soul and a bit of humor, stick around, there's more to come.